So, perfect. We are live streamed. So hi to those of you on EXP Family Tree. Welcome to the people who are new to our organization. I see a couple of you that are new, which is awesome. And of course, many of you that regularly attend this. And there'll probably be some more people jumping on, so I'll monitor and let them in. And we've got Peter for about 30 minutes. And then we've got, after that, the gentleman who's going to talk about some seller options, which I think, and it's a national program. And I think it's just going to be great. I'd love if Peter, you're still on. Once he jumps off, we might be able to talk a little bit about, how do you use this information to get out there and get clients too. But you hop off whenever you need to as well, Peter.
Actually, I'm good. I was able to, my son's grandmother jumped at the opportunity to pick him up from school and have an afternoon with him and make
awesome.
a dinner. So I got a little bit of extra time today. So I'm happy to stick around.
So we're going to have some good conversation today. So I'm going to let you jump in and run with it right now. If you do want to give a tiny little intro to the people that don't know you, you certainly can do that. But then we'll get right into the content that I know is going to be super valuable, because it always is.
Yeah, thank you. And while I'm doing the intro, if you can just allow me to share real quick, and I can just do a full present, I'll kind of blow through it. My name is Peter Pessetto. I have been in the real estate industry for a very long time. I've done just about everything. I've been an agent, I've had a team, I've done commercial, I've done investments. I was a team leader, and then I found the leadership side, and then I became a trainer and a coach. And for those of you guys that were on earlier, talking about my son, I stepped off the road and away from a lot of that 2017 to just open my own coaching company so I could be more present and control my schedule, right? Because life is about priority management, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I've gone away from the word time management, or the phrase time management, because I think I'm, and I've done some NLP training, so I've had some awareness to it, but I believe very wholeheartedly that the words that we use every single day have meaning, and they have sometimes subconscious positive or negative effects on our behaviors that we don't even realize. And so people get very frustrated that they can't do time management. And roughly 99.8% of the people I've ever coached have asked me for help on time management at some point. And what I realized is, especially in this industry, we can't manage our time. I promise you, as soon as you make a commitment to yourself and the world that you're going to lead gen every single day at 9 a.m., within 48 hours, you're going to get a call to either show a house or list a house at 9 a.m. Like, that's the way this business works. And so it doesn't mean that the lead gen isn't important at that point. It is a priority in our business. It isn't a priority at that time. So being able to shift that around, and I call it priority management, not priorities. One of the things that most people don't realize is the word priority didn't even show up as a plural in the English language until the 1960s. It was always priority. And the reason being is because that's when they were starting to use computers, and a computer could run multiple programs at one time, so it could have multiple priorities. And that's where we get it from. But life is about priority management. And so I've had roughly 2,000 people that I've coached at this point, and I took everything that I saw them doing, that I saw was working, that I know how the world works, and I kind of put it into this. So this is very much a system built for salespeople, real estate people, lenders. And I always know it's working because one of my coaching clients will go to me, I feel like I'm working less, but I'm making more money. I'm like, that's the whole point of this. So I'm going to dive in and just show you guys the stuff today. I'm going to blow through it, but if you stick with me, I've got a gift for you at the end. I'm actually going to give every single one of you this class pre-recorded with me going through it one by one, so you can have this and go back to it again and again and again. All right, let's admit that person. So I'll just, when I broke it down, and you take all the vision boards in the world and you distill down all the pictures and the fun phrases and everything that everybody puts up on there, you get one of three things. You get health, wealth, or relationships, right? And when our life feels out of bounds, it's because one of these three bubbles is disproportionately larger or smaller than the other. And the stuff that I'm about to show you, whether you're looking for a gain in your health, or you're looking for a gain in your relationships or your business, this is going to work in all three. So I'd rather show you something, A, that I know that works, and B, that you're going to be able to apply to those three bubbles in life so that you can feel more balanced in the things that you're doing. So why doesn't time management works? Because results don't come from doing the same thing at the same time. You know, the rock stars of the world focus in their 20%, and the greatest of the great work inside their 10%, and they farm out the rest of it. And one of the limiting beliefs that we have is that by focusing too much time on our 20%, all that other stuff is going to pile up. And the truth is, and this is what my clients have found over and over again, is that when you rock out your 20%, you will either be able to farm out your 80%, or it won't even matter because your results are so big, right? So this is how low producers prioritize their time. They put about 20% of their time into their 20%. I have people all the time that are like, I understand the 80-20 rule. I'm like, good. How much time did you spend in your 20% last week? Well, I spent about 20% of my time. Then you don't understand it, right? High producers put about 80% of their time inside their 20%. So as I'm going through this, I'm going to show you kind of the how the world works and the things that are behind our results. And then I'm actually going to show you a little bit on how to schedule. And if we don't get there, I'm going to give you all the class so you guys can take the time and go back. So there's three laws that we have to stop breaking that govern our results. It's the law of action, the law of the vital few, and the law of the vacuum, which is by far the most powerful law of the universe I have ever discovered. And since I think about it first now, my results have completely changed. I'm going to explain it to you in just a minute. So the law of action says that we must get into action. We must engage in actions that support our thoughts, dreams, emotions, and words in order to see results. Okay. As my 5-year-old niece says, well, duh, right? Like, of course we do. And yet we violate this law every single day with an action that we call procrastination. Okay. When you are procrastinating, you are breaking the law of action. And obviously the law of the vital few, we just talked about it a little bit. It's also known as the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. Okay. For all the actions that we're going to take, some of those actions are going to get us greater results than others. We know this. It's a matter of prioritizing and figure those out. Now, the law of the vacuum, I'm going to slow down just a touch here. The universe abhors a vacuum in all forms and rushes to fill all spaces, whether that's physical or metaphysical. Okay, what does that mean? The universe has already filled your life. You came into this life with a full life. You came into this class today with a full calendar. Okay. If for some reason we couldn't get the Zoom working and we didn't have this class right now, none of you would have sat around for an hour and gone, well, I'll just wait until 3 o'clock and then do what I was going to do then. No, we jump right into the next thing, or we start doing the next thing, right? The law of the vacuum shows up everywhere. That's why I talk about it in virtually everything I do. So what we have to understand is you cannot add an old system on top of a new system. Have you ever gone to a class and thought, oh my God, this is the best class ever. I'm going to go back and I'm going to incorporate everything. And then it sits on top of your desk, and about a week or two later, it kind of, moves towards the middle of the pile, and then you pull it back out and there's some coffee stains on top of it. You're like, oh my God, I remember this class. I got to implement this stuff. It's because we never stop doing what we're currently doing. We try and incorporate the new knowledge on top of the old, and it doesn't work. Okay. This shows up in the real world. Ladies, it's why when you leave the house, whether you have a shoulder bag or a clutch, that shit's full. Okay. My guess is that thing's full to the brim. Okay. It's why we don't take half empty suitcases on vacation. You have to think first. And I ask this coaching question every single time I'm on a coaching call. What do you have to stop doing this week that's going to make you more successful next week? Okay. If every Friday you just had a little reminder on your phone that went off that said, what do I have to stop doing? And you thought about all your activities that week and thought, what do I have to stop doing? Something that I did this week. What do I have to stop doing that's going to make me more successful next week? that will have so much more of a profound effect on your results than trying to add new things into it. Okay. So whether it's when it comes to your calendar, we have to create vacuums for the results that you want. The law of the vacuum is also the key to unlocking the law of attraction. Okay. So we always talk about trying to manifest or trying to pull things into our life. The truth is, the people that are trying to attract something in their life that don't have it is because they haven't made enough space for it. If you make enough time and space and energy for what you want in your life, if you make a big enough gap, okay, you will have what you want. It's why people are in a bad relationship and they want a good one, but they don't want to leave the bad one. Well, guess what? This isn't Utah. No offense to those of you that are in Utah. Okay. I'm just kidding around here. But seriously, like you can't be stuck in a bad relationship and go, hey, just hang out here so I can have somebody to hang out with when I need to, but I'm going to go over here and look for a better relationship. Those two things don't work, right? It's when we make space in our life and in our heart and in our mind for someone, for the right people show up. The law of vacuum is going to show up in every single thing that you do. So what I talked about, oh, come on. Where's my arrows? There we go. So when we create space in our life, that universe rushes to fill that space. So we don't want to add more to our calendar. We really want to subtract. So I talk about creating the vacuum first. Create the space for what you want first. So there's limiting beliefs that also show up in our time management. And a limiting belief, just for an easy definition, is a belief system that we believe by operating that way, that we're going to achieve what it is we want to achieve. We believe that we're on the right path. Okay. So a limiting belief in time management, I'm sure nobody here has ever had this problem. They think, oh, I'm just going to blah, blah, blah. Let me just get through spring market and then I will. Let me just get through the next couple of weeks and then I will sit down and organize my desk. Let me just do, right? The world is never going to slow down. It is only going to move faster. Okay, it's not going to happen. There is not going to be a day or a month or a week in the future when the rest of the world is going to stop to allow you to do all the catch-up work that you want to do, or to do the lead generation you want to do. It's not going to happen. These are symbols. So as a coach, what we listen for is when somebody goes, yeah, but I know whatever's going to follow, yeah, but is a limiting belief. Okay. Another limiting belief, I've got a lot going on right now. Another limiting belief, comparisons. Well, I'm doing better than I used to. Or when we start doing well, then our drunk monkey starts going, well, yeah, but Keely's so much further ahead of us. We're never going to catch up. Look how good she is. Right? We get in comparisons with people we see on social media. There was a bold law when I was teaching bold that said, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. And I used to always add, especially on social media. Okay. Another limiting belief, by making sure that I spend at least 20% of my time and my 20%, I'm going to be successful. Doesn't work that way. And the absolute greatest limiting belief that you can have is that you do not have a limiting belief. If you believe that everything you are doing right now is perfect, that is probably the greatest limiting belief, because you won't search for a better way. You won't look to learn something new. You won't be open to any new information. Okay. These are also limiting beliefs because you're not searching for a better way. Okay. Comparison mode. I'm already crushing it. I'm doing so much better than I used to. Okay. Remember, the law of the vacuum is as powerful as anything that you can possibly do. And it works when it comes to your calendar. So I'm going to just stop while I go on to skip to another slide, but just any ahas that you've had so far in that, or any questions, something that you heard that made sense to you.
I loved when you said, yeah, but I'm doing good in this, or it was better than last month, or that's a really common response, I think, from people when I talk to them about their goals and what's happening. And although that's a reality, it's probably valid. And I like to appreciate progress over perfection, which any progress is better. As long as you realize, yes, it was better than last month, but I don't want to stay in this place. I still want to grow and have it be better next month. I think then that's okay. But that was just interesting because I don't think a lot of people think of that as a limiting belief, but it is if you allow yourself to always use that as the response to not hitting your goal or getting where you actually want to, go.
Yeah, I didn't realize how damaging comparison mode can be for a long time. And then when I started realizing it, I started understanding, and we all have that success thermometer that's kind of in our brain right now, right? And when we get too successful, that our brain starts talking to us about all the reasons we're going to fail, or we start waiting for the shoe to drop, or we, no matter what, I can always find another coach to compare myself to in a comparison that I will lose. This person's better at this person's better at that, right? And when we get out of that comparison mode, see, when you're in comparison mode, you're not in learning mode, you're in judgment mode. And when you get out of comparison mode, okay, and get out of judgment mode, then you can be in learning mode and you can learn from what you're doing. So Delora, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like that question. Anybody else? Any other ahas that we've gotten so far before we get in the next section? Chrissy.
Yes, I love that you changed the wording to priority management, because I'm one of those people that gets hung up on that term time management. It like makes me cringe. It makes me remember when I was working for somebody else, being micromanaged all the time. And I have that association with those words. So I like the shift of the word. I like that.
And look, how you adapt to this might be a little bit around your desk, right? Somebody that is more naturally inclined to want systems and to do things in a certain order. You might have a little bit more of a challenge of going, all right, well, I said I was going to lead gen at 9, but now I've got an appointment at 9 that I have to be at, or there's a great class I want to take at 9, moving it to 10. High Ds will have a little bit easier time because they don't care. The high Ds goes, as long as it gets done, I don't care. And so that's what we have to kind of be in our own businesses is, look, your business needs fuel. Leads are fuel. It is your job, until you've got someone else doing that job as a business owner, to generate leads. And we should do a little something on that every day. And it doesn't always happen at the same time. I have taught or taken just about every time management class out there, and they all sound great in the classroom. I know all the words and all the slides and everything. And I've seen of the people that I've had go through them, roughly 5% are able to adapt. The priority management system is built for you. So one of the big gaps that I found in people and how they use their time, and I don't know if any of you guys are thinking this. If you do, give me a hands up or give me a yeah, that's me. Are you thinking to yourself, I don't know exactly what my 20% is? I've heard that as a lot as a coach. Keely and Carrie, I'm sure you guys have heard that as well. I don't know what my 20% is. So one of the things that I built into this system is a way for you to figure this out. And so we're going to do this right now. And I started using this a long time ago, and it changed a lot of my results. And this is where a lot of my coaching clients have some ahas, is I call this the time cost calculator. See, we say time is money, but we think it's worth something, and it's not worth something. It's a cost. I am going to spend an hour on this call, okay? I'm spending an hour, so I'm spending money, okay? It cost me something to be here. Obviously, it is a price I am happy to pay to hang out with these guys for for an hour, but it's costing me something. I could be working on something else, right? So what does your time cost you? So what I did is, I'll just kind of go through this example real quick, is come up with how many weeks in a year you choose to work. Do not put more than 48, because when you factor in holidays and 3-day weekends and Thanksgivings and Christmases, even if you don't take a vacation, there are weeks that just people aren't going to be around. It's harder to get business done on the Thursday of Thanksgiving week than it is other Thursdays. Right? It's just a fact of life. How many hours per week do you choose to work? And then you're going to multiply those two. So 48 times 40 is 1,920. And let's say I have a goal of making $100,000. I'm now going to take that 100,000, I'm going to divide it by the total hours I'm going to work in a year. So 100,000 divided by 1920 is $52.08. So every hour cost me $52.08. Okay, or 86 cents per minute. And I have had people go from working 60-hour weeks to 35-hour weeks in less than 2 weeks after doing this exercise, and their income went up. Most people would say, there's no way I can work half.
So when I come down, like I see you just
so one of the things that's powerful here is, now take your time cost calculator, and now we're going to apply it to things we do every day. So I got some of these averages off of Google. We spend an average of 1 hour and 40 minutes a day checking social media. We spend an average of 1 hour a day checking email. Let's say you're going to go to Starbucks and it's just 5 minutes away, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back, 4 minutes to wait in line for whatever you're getting. That's 14 minutes. Okay. Now let's go through this and say, what are we going to do? So checking social media costs that person $86 a day. Cost them $52 a day to check email. Cost them $12.04 in time before they bought their Starbucks. Okay. Just people walking around. By the way, got a minute is the 3 most feared words of any leader in a real estate company. Okay. Somebody would say, got a minute, and you would duck. Okay. Think about it this way, though. If your time, you want to make 100 grand this year, you're working 40 hours a week, just doing these activities on a daily basis costs you $206 every single day in time. You want to reduce, you want to increase what your time costs you, right? So I want my time to cost me like $200 an hour. Okay. It makes it a lot more precise. Every 30 minutes costs me $150. And so I think to myself, would I be willing? So going back to those 20% activities, you say you don't have somebody to make a flyer for you. If you spend 2 hours making a flyer, it costs you $104.16 at that number to make the flyer. Could I have outsourced it for less? That's the way a business owner thinks. Get it? And so if I could pay somebody even $50 to make me a flyer, I still save over $60 in that hour by paying somebody else $50 to do it. So what I do is I go through, and one of the things that I talk about is scheduling. Number one, the very first thing that I would encourage every single one of you to do as much as possible is move every hour appointment to 45 minutes. Block an hour on your calendar, set the expectation with the person. It's going to be a 45-minute meeting. Okay. That last 15 minutes of sort of white space that nobody can schedule, nobody really knows about, that's the time that you work on your 80% stuff. So the first 45 minutes of every hour, I'm looking to spend in my 20%. And then the last 15 minutes, I'm spending on emails, texts, coffee run, bathroom, grabbing a quick bite to eat, and then I'm back into my next thing. And that's, that would be the very first thing I can do. I would tell you that if you could get 20 priority blocks of 45 minutes in a week, you will just see your results go through the roof. Just 20 hours of 20% activities where you're focused. And by the way, I use my phone, and when I'm starting a priority block, I say to Siri, set the timer for 45 minutes. And 45 minutes goes off and I stop what I'm doing. What my clients have found is they carry more energy into the rest of the day. So 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, because they've gone 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. By the end of the day, they didn't get stuck working on something for 2 or 3 hours. They aren't drained. And what they can do at the end of the day, where we used to leave for the small tasks because we had no energy, now they can bring in priority blocks and you will get so much more done. So I'm going to put a little thing in the chat section, and you can copy and paste and put it on Workplace if you want, Carrie. If you will text the word quiz to the phone number I'm going to put up there. And just there's a quick form. If you fill it out, I will immediately send you that entire class pre-recorded. I talk a lot slower than I did today, and you can go through it and go back to it again and again and again. So thank you. I appreciate it. You got any questions? I'm happy to take them.
Let's do a little bit of ahas, questions, thoughts, action items from what you heard. I would absolutely encourage you to take a watch of the training, and maybe you've got somebody in your world that you could share it with too, which would be a great value. It's a really good class, just a little bit longer than we have obviously for these sessions with guests that we bring in. So unmute yourself or chat if you can't unmute yourself. We'd love to hear some takeaways, I think.
I'll say something.
Yeah, Devontae, and then Heather. Oh, sorry, Heather, Devontae. Go ahead.
Heather first. Oh, his is probably better. You go first.
Ladies first.
Okay, so I am more of a free spirit versus a super organized person. So it's very easy for me to just flow, right? And so this is great. I love this. This was awesome, Peter. And you don't want to see my desk right now. Anyways, one of the things I do is just natural to me is I talk to everyone I see everywhere, and I chit chat. So that whole, hey, do you got a minute thing, or, the pausing and talking to people, I do that a lot. And even though I have things I know I need to do, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, this person is somebody that knows I'm in real estate as well. I'm also having a friendship with them. I live in a great neighborhood, and I'm very friendly with all my neighbors. So at what point in time do you just say,
well, it doesn't count as a real estate conversation if you haven't asked for a referral.
Okay.
Or at least haven't talked about real estate.
Actually,
most of the time, if people know you're a realtor, they bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, she wound up telling me her son was in commercial real estate in San Francisco and knows all these people. I said, well, okay, here I am in San Diego if they want to spend some money on residential.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you're good at relationships, hopefully you don't have to ask, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate anymore? You don't have to use that script, because I mean, at some point, everybody knew I was a realtor. So pretty much in every conversation, somebody would bring up something that they knew or had a question about, or how's the market. Now, it wasn't all of them, but let's say 80% of my conversations, And
Sure.
so that's part of our job. So that's good, because if that's counting towards any sort of building of your database, and that's where you get a lot or most of your referrals, then, you have to realize that actually is a pretty high producing dollar per hour activity for you. That doesn't mean it is for everybody, by the way. There's a lot of people that walk around chit-chatting and never get a piece of business from it. So I think self-awareness around that is really critical, right? Like, if this is literally where all my business comes from, then this is really a good use of my time. But I would say all of those people that you have regular conversations with, how are you continuing to remind them that you're a realtor? How are you staying in front of them? How are you bringing them value as a realtor, as a local professional? So whether that means take all of those conversations you have and put them in a database and send them a newsletter, or walk around the neighborhood and put it in their mailbox, or, those sorts of things are really critical, because it's what moves those conversations into transactions over time. So if you were just walking around talking to everybody, but nothing else ever happened and they didn't know you were a realtor, that's problematic, right, Peter? Do you agree with that
100%.
philosophy?
I love that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Thank
true.
you for being on. I appreciate the aha. Devontae?
Yeah, man. The big aha for me was the 45-minute piece, but before that, it was just the changing your mindset for the time that's going to cost you. That $206, that shit adds up. Like
Yeah, it does.
that gets to you. And the thing is, even speaking like on a conscious level, it's like as a business or even as a person, you have to be authentic. That's just the thing you got to face. Like, all right, so if I do this for this certain amount of time, it's going to cost me if I procrastinate. And you'll easily play the victim. Like, all right, we got a transaction closing at the moment. All right, so what did I did a couple months ago when it was really that's 86 cents per minute that cost me what I'm at right now, not being in production. So it's just like
Right.
that reminder is just huge, and just to be able to put that out there, just shift my mind to a whole nother level.
Awesome, man. And that's one of the reasons I go through that exercise, because I find that most people do have a mind shift right there. When you start seeing like, Heather, let's say she's going to go talk to a neighbor, she thinks to herself, God, I'm going to talk to this neighbor for 20 minutes. That's going to cost me $40. Would I pull $40 out of my wallet and give it to him right now? If not, hey, good morning. And I'm,
Absolutely
down the road.
But that meeting breaks you out because it's like you got to be punctual. Now at the time, like, all right, even if you're going to meet with a buyer consultation and do a listen appointment, all right, I like to do an hour and a half just to connect with those people a little bit more. But to be honest, after 45 minutes, it's just much. It's just dead time. So like that 15 minutes can really.
That's why all my calendar appointments, I offer people to either cancel or reschedule an hour before the call. Because it costs me less if you cancel on me an hour ahead of time, I can do something with that hour, than for me to have to wait on Zoom for 10 minutes.
That's true. That's very true.
So I give people an option. I'm like, and I say like, hey, I'd rather have you reschedule now. If there's something's popped up, life happens. I'd rather have you reschedule and we'll meet another time than for me to sit on Zoom for 15 minutes, 10 minutes and stare at my screen, wondering if the person's going to show up.
Absolutely.
Actually, what I've started doing is just I share my screen because sometimes I get busy and I forget, and like people are sitting there in the waiting room. So I share my screen. I just keep working, and if they show up, they show up. But it's those little minutes. I'm telling you, and think about the last day before vacation. Are we not the most efficient human beings on the planet the last day before vacation? Yeah. The reason being is because that's when you're managing your priorities. Because that day you ask yourself something differently. You're going on vacation. So you think, all right, what do I absolutely have to get done today before I leave? And then you do it. And then the next thing is, what do I absolutely have to get done? And then I do it. As opposed to every other day when we get into the office and we go, oh, what do I have to do today?
I love it. So the idea behind this is to create awareness. We're going to get to Bjorn Bernovic, who is on that's going to talk to us about our seller program in 1 second here. But I mean, this is what Peter, you did was these ahas are the self-awareness a lot of us need to make very small changes. And when we do that, they add up to a very big result. If we just all shaved 15 minutes off of every listing and buyer appointment, just imagine, and then purposefully replace that time with something else though. That's the caveat. You can't shave stuff off of appointments and then not replace it with other things that are going to be, important. So I love this. We're super excited to watch your whole training. You guys make sure you text that number. It's in the chat. And now we're going to get to the second part of our meeting, which we're super excited about. Thanks, Chrissy Peterson, for the introduction to Bjorn. Bjorn, nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Good to see you.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Bjorn is with New American Funding. And to my understanding, you are able to service loans in most states, maybe outside of 2. Is that right?
Yep. So Hawaii and New York are the 2 states we are missing.
Of course, right? Yeah. Peter's like, of course, my state. Go figure. So
I'm out of here so fast.
It will. So Chrissy had learned from Bjorn about a program that she's been using now, and we'll mastermind a little bit about how we can work the program or just having solutions for people right now, the people that are on the fence that are not listing their homes, and they're not because they don't know where to go, right? That's what we keep hearing. This is the biggest challenge. And so we need to have options. We need to be creative. We need to show people solutions. And then we need to be forward thinking and sharing that out to the masses so that they'll raise their hand and say, hey, I'm kind of curious. What were you talking about? That's how we find people who would move if they had a solution. And now we get to be the solution provider for them as a real estate professional, which is what we want to do. So Bjorn, I'm going to let you go ahead. Do you need to share a screen or anything? Or are you just going to share the program or?
Yeah, I'm just going to talk through it and then I can follow up with some marketing material and then also our training links as well. So,
okay, perfect.
We're at New American Funding. We're almost a nationwide lender, 48 states. We loan our own money. We service our own loans. So we kind of have some flexibility to come up with some different programs. And towards the end of last year, our owners came up with a side company, if you want to call it that, and it's called Buyer Accepted LLC. And the purpose of this company was to better help our clients get the houses they want, compete in this strong and crazy market. So what Buyer Accepted LLC will do is it will go purchase a house for cash on behalf of our clients and then finance it back into their name when they are ready. So it can work a couple of different ways. It can work, is just if it's a crazy competitive market and we feel like the clients can be better off with a cash offer because that's how competitive it is, we can go in and pay cash. We can close within about 2 weeks and then the buyer can do their side of the closing a couple of days after that. The other strategy we're using a ton is for the people that are wanting to sell and buy, but again, as kind of Carrie mentioned, they're not maybe ready to sell because they don't know where they're going to move. So we can actually take somebody that would be contingent on selling their house and we can make a cash offer non-contingent for them. So they can go ahead, do the hard part, purchase their house that they're looking for. And then after that, they can worry about getting their house on the market and selling it after the fact.
Awesome. So that's great because I immediately thought of this as just a seller kind of creative solution option, but it is for buyers too, because how many of you have a buyer who is very well approved, but keeps getting pushed out of offers because they are, a conventional 5% instead of a cash or a 10%. The reality is, number one, they're paying more for properties if they're up against cash offers and they have a loan. So they're going to save money and they're going to be probably going to save money by being able to write a cash offer, and they might actually get their offer approved if you're having problems in a really crazy market or price range where it's just not working because they're up against a lot of cash offers. So that's awesome. But how many of you have talked to people who have said, I'd sell my home if I have a place to go. I'd list my home, but I'm not going to because I have no idea where I'll go. Well, now we can actually get them approved, go find them the home that's right for them, and then they can list their home. And so what we need to do is we need to tell people that if this is your biggest concern and this is why you're not taking advantage of the market that you have in front of you today and the crazy amount of equity you have in your home, let's talk because there could be some other options for you. So Bjorn, what are the criteria in general, or maybe the fees or anything like that that you think would be good for us to know?
Yep. So I'll start with the fees. So when we sell it back to the client, it is we do have a 1.5% convenience fee, we call it. So if your client's buying a house for $500,000, we sell it back to them for $507,500. And if anybody's in Florida, unfortunately, Florida, the convenience fee is 2%. So that's the only state that it's different. The client is allowed to move in immediately. So even if they have a house to sell, they can, after our closing, they can move in, not worry about showings, not worry about, doing all the stuff with selling a house. They can be in their next house while their other house is selling. There is rent that is charged, just market rent for the property. And that rent is not due until their final closing. So we're not going to ask these people to make double payments while they're living in the house, because obviously that's a burden on their monthly pocketbook. So we will backload it, and that money will be due at the end closing as well.
So basically that you add it up for the time until they close it, but they don't have to pay it until they close. So they can take it out of the proceeds of their home. Exactly.
Yep. And
so,
we just, go ahead.
No, so I just want to make a point. So 1.5%, so $7,500, essentially it would cost them theoretically to go and do this program, at least on the purchase. But think about this. If they're a cash buyer versus somebody that has a home to sell, or just somebody that's not cash, they're probably going to be able to have stronger negotiation and save themselves that $7,500 in the offer right up front anyway, potentially. So
Yep.
I think if we look at it that way and start looking at how much are cash offers being accepted for in relation to what would you have to do if you were going in as a conventional, that probably could be offset in your market, and that would be some research you should do, because to me, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep, and that's a lot what the convenience fee was based upon. Obviously, we have a, cost that we're experienced with this, with additional staff and all of that, but it's also a number we feel that the buyer makes up more times than not because of, how they're able to purchase or anything along those lines. As far as requirements, this was great timing. Just today, we expanded our guidelines. So we can do this for conventional buyers all the way down to a 620 credit score. The minimum down payment is 5%. So it's just like a normal, whatever they're approved for normally, we can approve them for cash. There's no discrepancies or changes. So we run everybody through automated underwriting. It's an electronic approval system. If they are approved for 5% down and their credit score is a 620, they're a go for this. VA, we can do it down to a 620, 0% down. And FHA we can do, that's a little more stringent. That one's 680 with 15% down, which I realize is a minority of FHA buyers, but there are some out there that do have large down payments.
So yeah, there are. In fact, Chris just had one of those, and they had a lot of cash. They just wanted to go FHA, and there were some reasons for that. Their percentage was better and so forth. This is interesting, you guys, for VA buyers, because I see people talking about VA buyers all the time about how sellers don't want to accept VA loans, which to me makes me crazy, because we should be helping people who are veterans get homes. And I'm not going to go on my soapbox, but because it's a government-backed loan and they feel like it takes longer, and there's these things that happen with the VA loan process, they then of course take it forth and say, well, I would prefer not to have a VA buyer because it creates more risk as a seller or more challenges. I just want to look for conventional or cash. Well, now our VA buyers are, so to speak, at a disadvantage. So what you're saying, Bjorn, is they're approved as a VA buyer with New American Funding. You approve them for this program. They go and you make the offer for them on their behalf as the cash buyer. When they go to take over that loan, they're approved as their VA buyer, like they always were, and they get the VA benefits and everything like that, and the same down payments, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So their end financing is going to look exactly how it would be if they were doing a normal transaction. There's no extra charges. There's no hit to the interest rate. It's just a normal transaction like it would have been. Yep.
That's huge, you guys. If I had VA past clients, if I just knew there were people in my community that could use this, I think this little niche right here is huge, because I hear people talking about this in Facebook groups, in workplace chats, people saying, what do you do with VA buyers right now? I can't get my VA buyers approved. I want to get them approved. I just don't know what to do. This is huge because they don't have to go in and as a disadvantage, but they can still take advantage of their benefits, which they should be able to, right? As a veteran, or a military, active military. So I think that's awesome. But obviously for first-time home buyers that, are coming in even conventional, but with a lower percentage down or something like that, they're really at a disadvantage and it's hard to find property for them. So this could be a great opportunity for them.
Yep. And the down payments are still allowed to come from a gift, 401k, any of the normal sources that they're able to use. As far as the rent goes, I did see a question pop up on the chat. There's no minimum rent amount of days that they need to rent. It is prorated on a daily basis. So we don't, if they rent for 5 days, they get charged 5 days rent. FHA, because of their flip rule, they do have to rent for 91 days. That usually isn't a big deal. It's probably about the same expenses either way. Outside of that, they can, like I said, we can close on it one day. They can close on it a couple of days after. If they do have a house to sell, we ask that they have that house listed within 2 weeks of our closing. So a kind of a timeline could be is today we make a cash offer on a property, gets accepted. We're closing 2 weeks from today. That means your client needs to get their house on the market within 4 weeks of today to get it sold. And we want everything done within 90 days. That's kind of our, guideline, but there's no after the 91st day doesn't, we don't take the house back or anything like that. We actually we've done over 200 of them. None of them have lasted more than 90 days. We just want to make sure everybody's motivated to get the end transaction done. That's what everybody wants anyways.
Are you kidding me? Hey, guys, I would be all over social media and saying, if you were guaranteed to get in the house that you are going to, would you sell your house right now? And see how many people say yes. And the ones that say yes, I'd be knocking on their door or calling them or message them or anything. Just put it up. If you were guaranteed to get the house you wanted, would you list your house today? Those are the people you need to be having a conversation with in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. It should be a video out on social media, so you can be messaging out to your database, your CRM, your past clients. Who do you know that is struggling in this market? And start, you have to jog people's memory. So be specific. VA buyers are having a hard time. First home buyers are having a hard time. People that have a home to sell that have to go contingent, they're having a hard time. Like, these are the people we can help. We have a creative solution that most people do not know about. Send them my way and I'll just educate them. If it works for them, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. No pressure, no harm, no foul. But let's talk to these people. Let's help people in a market, in such of a crazy market that we find ourselves in today. Get it out on social, get it out to your database, text, Facebook message, audio message on Facebook. I mean, honestly, I would be all over this I agree with you, Peter. I think there's a lot of people that are not hearing this message.
Oh my gosh. And if I had an active real estate license right now, if that's what I was doing, you're hearing it from me, that's for damn sure.
And we have daily online training. It's 1:00 Central, so I'll make sure you guys get all the links for that.
Okay.
Your clients can get approved for this program at any time, but they cannot write an offer until their agent has been through the training.
Okay.
And it's only an hour long. I highly suggest you shut everything else off and listen. While our offer process is different, it's just different than what you're used to when you're communicating with a client. So to provide the best service, if you really get something out of that training, you'll know how to do it. I mean, it's just a matter of sending it into our departments and they sign it, but there's different verbiage that needs to be on there, stuff like that. And it just, from my experience, if the agent has done the training and paid attention, that it goes way smoother.
Yeah.
We do have to get these guys through underwriting, which for me is about a day after I have their documents. I can have the approval through underwriting and have them ready for a cash offer. So if you're, just out with a client on a Saturday and all of a sudden you see the house you want and they want to try to do a cash offer, we need at least one business day to get them approved for this program, different than a regular pre-approval.
Perfect.
Hey, Bjorn.
Yes.
So I did go through the training, but I wasn't really paying attention.
Shocker, a realtor who was multitasking during a training.
Remind me what it's called.
It's buyer accepted program.
Okay. And I just want to say, I mean, Bjorn already knows this, but I've got some buyers that I'm working with, a lot of first-time home buyers, and some of them have been, playing this game for months, 6+ months. And it's difficult for me to pull my clients away from another lender that they've been working with for so long. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make sure that we are setting our clients up with the best information, right? We want to do what's best for our clients. And so at the end of the day, if this is going to get them into their home, then, I'm making these introductions, and I think it's going to make a huge difference for some of the buyers that I've been working with. I mean, that's just the reality.
And I'll touch on that a little bit too. So I kind of compare it to if one of your buyers was approved with a lender and the lender's only loan program was FHA, you would be like, okay, let's go talk to a different lender. Let's see if we can get you into conventional. This is the same type of program in my eyes. Like, we are able to do all this and make a cash offer for your buyer. And that is a better loan program than those other ones we listed in this market right now. Mm-hmm. So let's, it is, I think, important to be getting people in the best position possible.
Right.
Well, I mean, especially some of these buyers, and you all have had this personally probably, and I continue to hear the stories, and Chrissy, you said it, they've been trying to do this for 6 months, 8 months. They've written offer after offer. I mean, it's painful. And then they're continuing to extend leases and they don't know where they're going. And it's stressful. So we can't knowingly let them continue to do that without exploring other options. I just don't think that that's not the right thing to do. So that's why we wanted to bring this to you guys, because now you know something that's available out there that you didn't know before. And number one, yes, you should use it for lead generation. Number two, yes, go use it with people that maybe you've already talked to that have been on the fence or haven't been able to get to their goal. And then number three, now you know for any future person you talk to, you're in an open house, share this program. You're knocking on doors, share this program. Why would you not? Because we don't know how many people out there we could actually help if they knew that there were other options. And it's our responsibility to go find more inventory to keep this market going. This is one way we can do that.
And as Peter just reviewed with us, our time is money. And when we are working with some of these clients for a year and not able to get them into a house, I mean,
Do the math.
it's exhausting.
That's a fact. That is a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
So I think this is huge.
Yeah.
It frees up
Other-
our time. Let's get them under contract. Let's find some new inventory so we can make time for new clients.
That's
Yep,
right.
and we'll have them approved for the normal financing or the cash program. So if you do get into a situation where you're like, you know what, I don't think we need to do the cash on this one, we can just send a normal pre-approval letter and they're off and running anyways.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So they're already approved for both. It's just a matter of, hey, now we have both of these options. So we know the scenario we're in, boom, we pulled the trigger on whichever one makes the most sense. I mean, how much more does that make you valuable to your client too? I mean, this is value-driven real estate sales right here. Bring as much value to the people that you have, that you know you, like you, trust you, and the people you're working with. That's always been our number one priority, because if we bring value, people will always come back to us. And this is how we build the foundation of our business. So we should always be looking for ways to bring more and more value. It also definitely is going to, stand you apart from your competition. And the reality is that there are a lot of buyers out there that tried to purchase a home and it didn't work well for them and they never did. And if they hear this program or get referred to you by somebody else that heard you say this on social media, this actually can help them achieve their goal. And it's something that they will tell their friends about, right? When somebody helps them in this manner and their goal is achieved, this is how you get referral business and repeat business, you guys, for sure.
Mhm.
Yep.
Hey,
And I see-
Bjorn,
Yes.
Candy?
how do you handle, I had a client that was looking to purchase a home up to 700 and they were really reluctant about that fee just because of their higher price point. So how do you have that conversation?
Well, it depends on the situation, right? If they absolutely have to go with the cash program, because maybe they're a contingent buyer, I'll just kind of talk through and just say, this is your opportunity to actually be in the equation of getting your offer accepted. So it kind of depends on the situation. If they're in a spot where, they can make an offer without being contingent, then I kind of just say what I just said to Carrie, like, let's decide what offer is best for you. Maybe it isn't the cash offer. Every property, every situation can be different. And there's going to be times where maybe you absolutely need the cash offer. There'll be times where you don't. And the times that you do, it's like, well, you paid 1.5%, but you got the house. You probably wouldn't have got it if you didn't do it. And, when people are offering on houses, I would say $7,000 gets decided on pretty quick right now on what they're doing. And,
Yeah.
it's just, do you want to be in the best position possible? Like, nobody.
How bad do you want the house?
Yeah.
Right, Bjorn?
It's just-
I mean, it really does boil down to that because,
Right.
I mean, I know in our market, a $700,000 buyer is still probably making an offer $20,000, $30,000 over in many cases, which is insanity. So the question becomes either you just don't even write the offer. Because if you're contingent, you just don't even write the offer probably if there's multiple offers, right? Because
Yep.
it doesn't make sense to. So you either are just, you're out because you don't want the house and you don't want to do it, or you're in. And then if you didn't write a cash offer, how much more over the list price to even get them to look at your offer and take it seriously would you have to write? But if you're a cash offer, could that be less? And this is a little bit hypothetical because nobody knows till an offer gets accepted. But at the same time, you are going to have to write a higher offer if you're not cash. By how much?
Right.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of
Mhm.
multiple offers, can I offer something that's just a little bit of a side for those you guys are doing listings? I'm assuming that if you guys have listings, or you're listing opportunities right now, you have people coming at you asking you to drop your commission a little bit because of how hot the market is, right? Or pay out a little bit more. So a couple of years ago, I was coaching up in Toronto. The average days on market was 24 hours. 2 years ago, average days on market was 24 hours. And there was one big agent that was still getting full commission every single listing. And he would offer a little bit more to the buyer's agents. And what would happen is a buyer's agent might not go make an offer for 2%, but they'll drive an extra 30% for 30 minutes for 3%. And he said it would end up that the clients regularly, he averaged that paying him 1 extra percent got them an extra 5 to 10%. You talk about the 1% for him, I would be saying, you know, if you want to add it to your post of, hey, if you were guaranteed to get in the house you wanted and knew that you only had to pay 1% over asking, would you list your home today? I mean, I think this is a brilliant program. Bjorn, there's a question from Delora about where do agents go for training. Is there a link in there? There you go. Perfect.
Oh no, you go to everybody or just you? No, I
got me.
Peter can chat it out. Or
yeah. There you go.
So
perfect.
There's the link, and it is for, I think I saw another question. It is for owner occupied properties only. So no investment or second homes.
Okay. Perfect.
That's awesome.
So no owner occupied, no second homes, and no New York or Hawaii right now. But other than that, and then FHA has a different guideline. But other than that, if you've got VA, conventional buyers, you've got sellers who need to buy contingent, we can remove contingencies. Really, really great program. Here's the reality. I think there are going to be people that take advantage of us, and there are just going to be people that go, I just want to hear more about your options and your solutions. And you're going to end up working with them, get them approved with Bjorn, and they're going to not have to use the program. But how do we get more people to raise their hands to even talk to us? Like, that's what we need. We need more sellers to say, I'd be willing and I want to move. I just don't know how to do it. We just need to know who those people are. And this is the message I think that's going to get it out. We have some people in some markets sending flyers out to neighborhoods, you guys, circle prospecting, door knocking in their neighborhood. We've got Chrissy who did, you know, some videos out on social. You know, you could run a Facebook ad. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things you could do here. Of course, market it out to your database. And those are some ideas. Devontae, did you have a question?
Yes, one second.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
You're good.
Gotcha.
You're not muted anymore.
All right, cool. Now, so my question was to Jordan is, I'm kind of figuring out like the devil advocate side. So once we get the listing and it's tight for them in the essence of they don't have that much equity. Like they have to pay the fee, that have pay the commission on both the buyer and the seller side. What does that look like? Has that ever happened where it did not work out or we thought it was going to work out and it didn't sell? How do you guys handle that?
No, we, you know, knock on wood, we have not had, like I said, we have over 200 of these. We have not had one where the property did not sell. We do take from the agent a CMA, so a competitive market analysis, and a net sheet on their current property. Okay. Just to make sure, like if there's equity we need from that property to finish the next transaction, just to make sure it's there. But I guess if it doesn't work out, you know, the absolute worst case scenario we would put the house back on the market that we purchased. But I think we would, you know, do everything we could to try to get the client into the house before that was something that was looked at.
It's almost like a forward thinking 1031.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right.
True.
Cool.
Very true.
Chrissy has a question too.
Well, it's not so much a question, but I wanted to share this because I've been talking about this program to other agents and, you know, being where we're at with EXP and sharing value and trying to share value with other agents, you know, and hopefully attract them to work with us. I used this at my open house last weekend. I was talking to agents as they came through. I was talking to other buyers that came through the open house and giving them my cards. I've got a handful of agents that wanted more information on it, so I invited them to this call. So it's a good opportunity as well to share this with other agents that you're connecting with, because you're bringing them value, you know, so it's a win-win all around, I think.
I love it. This is awesome. I know we're a little bit over our time and everybody probably has to head out. Bjorn put all of his information, his phone number, his email. We've got the link to the training. We don't forget to text the information if you want the full course for Peter's time management. This is all super, super good good opportunities for your business, you guys. Take one action item from Peter's, ahas that you got, and take an action item on this program and go do something with it this week. And I know you guys are going to come up with opportunities. Bring those back next week when we have our productivity call, and let's find out what successes that you had.
Feel free to share that, if you've got agents that are in your pipeline that you're looking to attract to EXP, share that quiz out with them. Say, hey, I just saw this great training, share the word quiz to this phone number, and I can get you free access to the training through my EXP connections, and make it look like you're bringing them the value. Like, we just want to get this in their hands. I'm giving it to free to you guys. You can give them to free to somebody else. Like, that's how the world goes around.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, more value we can provide to everybody, the better off we all are. We feel good about what we're doing. So thank you guys so much, Bjorn. Great to see you. Peter, as always, awesome. Thank you all for joining. I have this recording. If you want it, work chat me if you want to pass it on or watch it again. Okay. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.